ways that we contribute to this country, that we grow our GDP, we grow our tax base, we contribute to each other effectively, we help finance our national security, our homeland security, our infrastructure.
I had key employees that really wanted to be leaders in the company, but they didn't want to have any ownership and responsibility that way. So I just had to start researching out and figuring out, well, how do I market my company?
Go to your local school board for 1 hour twice this year. And if you can have even just 10 or 15 employers show up and do that at the same school board every single month, there's 2 contractors filling out a little card to give your 30 seconds at the podium that says, I need your help and we have great jobs. Eventually they will hear you. But if everyone just did 2 hours a year, that's how we change this.
Stacy, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great.
She loves it. I ask the question every time. She's just like, I'm fine, dude. Just a little much.
And I say to that owner, I said, so you're not willing to invest in yourself? You're not going to invest in yourself. You're going to invest in companies you have no control over, whereas your company you control, and you don't have the confidence to pour the money into that.
When things are busy and they're looking for their GC friends to sit down and negotiate a project on a GC and a fee, and they're more excited about building the project, and then all of a sudden the market swings, and now the developer market is going to go out and they're going to hard bid the same project to 2 or 3 different GCs, and that's where it starts going down.
Good morning. It's Morning Huddle time, Season 2, Episode 1. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Oscar. How are you guys today?
Great. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. It's great to be here, Chad.
Thank you. Yeah, it's wonderful to have you guys. All right, Stacy, you and I, we took 2 months off in between Season 1 and Season 2. I don't know if that's a lot or a little. I'm not sure what's normal or okay in any of this, right? We're figuring it out. But we've been working on some stuff. So what are some of the things that we've been doing over the past couple of months?
Well, as far as the Morning Huddle, we're going to get a new email newsletter coming out shortly.
Yep.
And we have all of our guests lined up for up until June 21st, which is really exciting. We have a great amount of people on awesome topics. So we'll be getting that out shortly.
Plus, we had our new little intro jam.
You did a great job.
Yeah, I think it's a good friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine, Jesse Swagger, put it together with me over the past month or so, compiling it, and I'm really happy with having a little something to play us in rather than totally awkward small talk, which is not that we're going to lose that part. We'll stay awkward. We're
part
going
of
to
the
keep it
show.
awkward here, right? But anyway, so I thought this would be we've changed the time, right, to 9 a.m. Eastern, which invites more of our West Coast friends for this to be at least a somewhat reasonable hour for West Coast and Mountain Time folks to join us. And so along those lines, I know that we have a bunch of new folks, attending here live today and hopefully catching this in the recorded version. So I thought it might be, Stacy actually thought it might be valuable for us to kind of orient ourselves briefly on who we are and what we do. So Stacy, real quick, who are you and what do you do? Just for context for our viewers.
Sure. I'm the owner of Steel Toe Communications. We're a marketing consulting company. So we work on advertising, print ads, social media, video campaigns, anything that you can really think of. But our niche is the commercial contracting industry. So
awesome. That's great. So I also focus pretty much solely on the commercial building industry, working with developers, general contractors, subcontractors, to a smaller extent, architects and engineers, but really trying to touch on the entire industry. And what I do is help those organizations to build better companies and help to build more sustainable project teams. And we also have a peer groups business that is specifically designed for trade contractors in their local markets to collaborate and help each other build better companies. So that is, and the name of my company is Well Built. So Well Built Consulting and Well Built Advisory Groups. So I'd like to introduce our guest today, who is Oscar Garcia. Oscar, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then we'll, kind of tee up the topic for today.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Oscar Garcia. I'm the founder and CEO of Need to Say. Need to Say, it's a mobile application that eliminates language barriers, the cause inefficiencies and risks of construction workers, especially of Latin American construction workers and also American construction workers. We survived the pandemic because that's the year when we launched. And so I'm just really, really excited to be here with you all today.
Yeah, that's awesome. You're fortunate to be in existence starting when you started, right? But not only in existence, you're thriving, and so we'll get into that story. That's excellent. So, Stacy, if you would move into the position of helping our audience to come up with their best thoughts, questions, and ideas through the course of the interview portion, I'm going to jump in with Oscar, and we are going to dive into today what the Latin American experience looks like and feels like in the building industry from someone who's spends all their time dedicated to addressing that topic. So I look forward to the discussion, and Stacy, look forward to bringing you back and hearing what the audience has to say.
Sounds good.
Thank you. All right. So Oscar, the Latin American experience in construction. When we put this topic together, and you and I were, originally digging into it, I think what jumped out most to me was, the simple fact that the workforce, the human, the manpower, right, that's out there turning our roads and our buildings into a reality in this country is overwhelmingly Latin American today, and it has been for quite some time. And so, my first interaction with you was one where you helped me to realize that, construction's a dangerous industry, and which I knew, but that it's particularly dangerous for Latin American employees. And so that got my wheels turning. I overall, talk a little bit about why your company exists and, some of those things that you're aiming to solve in the industry.
Absolutely, Chad. Well, first of all, I have to say, thank you so much for giving us, and I say us because I'm representing my community today. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to voice our concerns, our thoughts of the millions of construction workers, of Latin American construction workers throughout our country, because unfortunately, because of their language barriers, we don't get to hear what they think directly, right? And so thank you so much for that. I think that what I do with Need to Say, I like to use the story of my dad because it's something personal. My dad worked in the construction industry, worked in different places, and throughout his life, he had several injuries, several issues. And one of the main things that he always used to communicate to us was that language barrier was always an issue for him. It was not just an issue for him to communicate, but also just to stay safe. And so when I decided to start my company and do something about this, I knew already that construction companies, they do try. And so what they do is that they have the OSHA rules and regulations translated in Spanish. They have videos and things like that. But it's important to understand that practice, it's a very old practice. And so now the times have changed. There are more and more Latin American construction workers at job sites. And so that needs to be changed. And we need to empower them by helping them learn the basics of the English language for construction. So we need to help them remove those language barriers so that they can, communicate with keywords and keep them safe, and also give them a voice, Chad.
So it goes a step beyond sort of saying, here's a bunch of safety videos that are in your native language. Hopefully that helps, and takes it into the sort of day-to-day reality, which is, but you still need to know some of the safety related construction language that gets communicated in the instant, in the moment, throughout the course of your workday. Am I picking that up?
Yes, because lots of them, I've spoken with hundreds of them, and they have said to me, well, Oscar, typically we watch a video in English, and then we come back to the construction site, and everything we watch the video in Spanish, and then we come back to the construction site, and everything is in English. And it's like, even if I don't have my safety glasses, right, I don't even know how to say that. And so if sometimes I wanted to communicate something else, even things that will help us to be more productive, and I feel like, I wish I had the opportunity to do that, but I can't. And so that it's what happens with construction workers, again, every single day. And then we just putting them more at risks because they cannot voice those concerns or communicate better. And so that's the reason why I decided to do something about it.
Yeah, and let's we have so much to try to cover in a short amount of time, but I do want to briefly try to put an actual point on the hard data, the scary hard data that exists on this. And I hate to put you on the spot. I hope that you have that data handy or
Yes.
memorized.
Yes.
But what do the injury statistics and worse fatality statistics look like in the industry as it relates?
Absolutely. So each year, an average of 1,500 Latin American construction workers die at a construction site. As you know, last year during the pandemic, the construction industry, it's an essential business, right? So they never stopped. So
Right.
so that made it even more dangerous for a lot of the Latin American construction workers. And so when I first saw the statistics, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I need to do something about this. And then also when you add more of the unreported statistics, because unfortunately, and we have to say this, a lot of these people, Chad, are undocumented. And so many of these injuries, many of these issues go unreported. And so, I was told many times, Oscar, it's more than that. I'm sure it's more than that, by construction companies, by construction company leaders. And so that's when I started to have focus groups and talk to people, because it was not only that, we also have to talk about women in construction. And a lot of these women, they came to me and said, Oscar, I experience harassment every day, and because of my language barriers, I cannot communicate that. What can I do? And so you're right. It's a lot. We have a lot to unpack here.
Yeah. So I want to go right to the heart. I have to go right to the heart of what the thing that I believe, coming away from our conversations and my experience in the industry, working with the companies that I've had the ability to work with, is that there really is a shadow economy happening inside the construction industry, right?
Yes.
Where here we have big legitimate construction businesses, big legitimate developers hiring those construction businesses, that are those big legitimate construction businesses are hiring smaller, little bit less legitimate construction companies that might be hiring labor only, totally illegitimate construction companies that are fully employing undocumented workers. And because of that, and this is as a side note, we need that work. Clearly, we require that labor, and we're not going to solve immigration right now. We're just not. You and I are not going to solve immigration right now. But what I will say, what I think we actually might be able to move the needle on, is calling this out, which is that anytime there is a shadow economy operating, anytime, and I don't care what it is, the people who are inside that shadow economy are in grave danger. they're at risk
Yes.
because nobody wants to claim them. Nobody wants to acknowledge their existence, but they're there. And it's actually, I mean, the numbers are significant, right?
Yes.
It's not just here and there. So large construction company A absolutely has, in many occasions, obviously I don't want to paint with too broad a brush here, but has undocumented workers on their project, and it's kind of better for everybody legally to just turn a blind eye to it, and the risk actually really compounds for the individual who is not really operating inside a well-run legitimate business or being coached and trained and developed by the bigger businesses that have those capacities. That's my speech for this episode. You tell me, how crazy did what I just said sound, and how do you see it playing out in real life?
Yes, that is the Latin American experience. That is just a reality, and the reality is the huge gap that exists between the big general contractors, for instance, construction companies, and the subcontractors or construction companies that hire the majority of these workers. And there's a big disconnect, right? Because since they don't work for them, directly, full time, or employed directly by these big companies, so there's in it, the tendency to be like, well, they're working at this our construction site, but they don't work for us directly. And we're like, okay, how can we bring in awareness and be like, yes, but they're doing the work, they're doing the work, they put in the hours, you have all this manpower. So what can we do to talk to all of these companies and be like, there's a lot you can do. You have an amazing opportunity on your hands to help these people, not only to be safe, because all of the construction companies, they have a legitimate reason. They do want everybody to be safe, to go home at the end of the day safely. They all want that. But what they need to understand is that Latin American construction workers, they have different needs. They have completely different needs. And again, because where they come from, safety rules and regulations they don't exist to begin with, right? The OSHA, the version of OSHA does not exist. And then second of all, you have this language barrier that is not only that does not exist in their countries, but in addition to that, the language barrier puts them in a more dangerous positions, that every day they're trying to understand, to juggle things and to do this and to do that. And so how can these big construction companies do something to really try to meet the needs of this population?
Yeah, and you shared with me a success story, and we'll leave the company name out of it. I think it'd probably be for the best. But you shared with me a success story where a large general contractor who was about to move forward with, work with you for their team, that you, through this conversation, helped them to discover that they were actually in this position to make a massive impact on a much broader community by thinking about everybody who works under them, but maybe isn't afforded the same kind of opportunities because the companies they work for don't have the same resources.
Exactly. And so this is a great example, because I remember that I approached this company and I started to talk about these concerns, and they said, Oscar, for years, we've been trying to do something about, and they use the word Hispanics,
Right.
which is for us, it's more of a Latin American, but it's so for us to we've been trying to do something for the Hispanic workers. And I said, okay, tell me more. And they said, well, we know all the issues they go through, and the language barriers and these things. But they said they don't work for us directly. So how can we help them? And I said, what if we have this, easy, accessible QR code at the main entrance of the job site, where they can, download this tool, begin to start to use it and improve their communication skills and these things like that. So this company, it's a great example, Chad, because they didn't care whether or not they were working for them full time. They were like, everybody who's working on this construction site, we want them to have access to this. And so what they saw after that, after using this our tool for several weeks, they saw is that they had Latin American construction workers come to them and say, there's a floor opening. They came to them and said, I would like to read blueprints because I've been doing this for the last 15 years and I can do this job. And so they were like, wow, like it's so difficult to hire people, for the construction industry. And for us to have these workers coming to us.
They're right here.
They're right here telling us these things that, about safety, about, this preventing things that may happen in the future because of things that were, things that move really fast. And then in addition to that, they wanting to grow, to stay in the construction industry. That's huge for us. That's amazing, because it's really hard to keep people in the construction industry and to hire people. And I said, well, you have, the Latin American construction workers, the majority of them, they love the industry and they want to stay at this industry, but they also want to trust your job sites, right? And so what can you do to help them trust that and to have the tools to help them grow and develop, and again, come back on safely every day. So that's really where everything it's like it all goes back to that.
It does. So as we think about closing the gap that currently exists between the Latin American workforce and the American workforce in the United States, what we should be thinking about in simple terms, if I'm hearing you correctly, number one, don't just it's very important that you bring content to people in their native language, but also invest in teaching the English language for construction and safety terms. Make sure that there's an effort made to provide them with the tools and the awareness to recognize the things that they're going to run into on a daily basis. Yeah, that's one.
Yes, definitely. And the ROI, Chad, goes beyond that, because it's not only that you're helping them learn English for the construction industry. What we call in our world, we call it English for specific purposes, which means that they only learn what they need, right, for that specific context, right? Now, when I say that it goes beyond that, is because they're not only start to use keywords and key phrases to communicate and to share data or safety issues or things like that. In addition to that, many of these men have reported to us that they go back home and they start to help their children with homework. They start to feel more confident and to try to talk to their children's teachers. And when I listened to that, I was like, wow, that's amazing. And they said, I feel so much better with myself because, the majority of us, we don't have an education. And a lot of times we feel just left behind. We feel bad that we cannot help our children. But just by doing this and being able to communicate word by word every day, I have the confidence now to even try to go and help my child. And for me, that is the best. That's my mission right now. So I feel great, when I hear things like that.
I mean, it's truly making a difference in people's lives and helping with a very, what's the right word, empowering process of becoming more and more a part of American society.
Exactly.
On your own terms, right? Because you're empowered to do that, and I mean that's a gift that you could give to people. That's absolutely wonderful. Another thing that I'm hearing you say is that if number one is make this investment in teaching English for a specific purpose and really make that investment. Another thing is create and encourage and I believe. You said this to me in our pre-call, but not necessarily. I wanted to use this language: is that you showcase and highlight Latin American leadership inside the industry. So because these role models, these are people that turn into examples of what the Latin American workforce can achieve, and brings them further into the fold, reducing the gap. Yeah.
Yes. I think, okay. I try myself. I'm going to try my best to explain this really quick. So representation matters. I've seen people talk to me and talk to, other Latin Americans and say, you have no idea how unbelievable, how important it is for us to see someone like us in a leadership position. It's so important. And so one of the things that we need to understand is that, these people and the children of these people are going nowhere. And if we as a community, as construction companies, if we help them grow, develop, that's going to be for at the end of the day, the benefit of the country as a whole, right?
Absolutely.
And so we need to understand that every time we do something for these people, and so we're helping them either to be safer, learn the language, or get a different set of skills, or learn how to like this guy said, how to read blueprints, or do this or do that. We're helping our country. Because again, these people, they're going nowhere, their children are going nowhere, and so it goes beyond those things.
I love it. And then the third thing, and I don't want to miss it, that I took away from the conversation is that regardless of where you are in the value chain, in the construction industry, recognize that the undocumented workforce is there. You are currently using that workforce as a necessity. That workforce is currently making all of what we're doing possible.
Yes.
And it's unconscionable not to invite them into the fold for 1,000 reasons that some of which you've mentioned in the last bullet, right? That it's by helping these people, you're helping the United States, undocumented or not. It really doesn't matter.
Exactly. Because they're here, they're building America, right? And so what we need to understand is that, these people are dealing day to day with the same things that we deal with,
Absolutely,
which
right.
is, some of the things, just to, shed light on some of these things, mental health, mental issues. I've stayed and I've seen them, where they travel all the time. They work at this construction site, in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, they're in a completely different state, and I've seen where they stay. They stay at some of the, cheapest places you can stay, and they're far away from their families. The majority of them, they see their families once a month. For the ones that are lucky, that are documented and can fly and can, drive easily, but the majority of them don't have the luxury. And so we need to understand where they are. These people are far away from their families. They're trying to make ends meet. They live alone, by themselves, and trying to, be there on time, early in the morning, every single day, no questions asked. And I remember someone, Chad, said to me, well, Oscar, one of the things I like about Latin Americans is that they come to work no matter what. There's raining, cold, whatever. They always show up, and they don't, they don't complain. And I'm like, well, that's because, it's not that I want them to complain, but if they don't express their feelings, it's because they don't have a way to do that, right? So I'm pretty sure, and they have said to me, Oscar, we can make this work more productive. We can do things better, but I can't do that, right? So that's the reason why at the end of the day, chat, I was like, okay, I need to help them with their, English communication skills. That's what I'm going to focus on, and that's the reason why I'm doing this, because for many years, the stigma was, well, Latin American workers, they don't want to learn English. I don't think they want this and they want that. But when you talk to them, they're like, absolutely, I do want to learn this language. I'm dying to be able to have the opportunity to do that.
I think there are a lot of incorrect assumptions that people have made based on simple cues like body language or just like the sense that somebody's standoffish or they seem uninterested and things along those lines. Hey, that's what you look like when you feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. That doesn't mean somebody's not interested. It just means they're uncomfortable. You've been a blast to have on. I feel like such an important topic. I feel honored to have the ability to hopefully play some sort of role in being a voice for this, and keep up what you're doing, Oscar. I want to pull Stacy into the conversation. Stace, what do we have? We're already up on time, but we can fit in a couple of questions. I don't want to miss the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, sure. So I think we're having a little bit of issues with LinkedIn right now. So I don't know if you can see the comments, but Ike Casey just made a comment. Great points here that so many people need to hear this. And Mark Jury said, Oscar, you're doing great work. I've worked on this issue for many years, several decades, and a couple of centuries. He also said the elephant in the room is the undocumented workforce who are abused by their own people, acting as labor brokers with marginal, undependable pay and no benefits. They fly under the radar and they don't have access to the ability to pursue education and training. The language learning is fundamental, and it starts with watching Sesame Street with your children.
And we got a little plug in for PBS. All right.
So I guess a question that we didn't bring up is, how can we better showcase Latin Americans as role models in this industry?
I think one of the ways it's first of all, to one of the things that I say to companies is just do a quick survey, listen to their needs, listen to them, and they will point you into the right direction, and have them, voice those concerns, communicate, understand where they come from. I know that the majority of them come from my country, Mexico, but many of them come from Central America, South America, and other countries. So understand, what is their native language, understand what is their culture. And when the time comes when, there's the Independence Day of Guatemala, or, you name it, celebrate that with them, celebrate that, showcase those things. I see many companies doing a lot of, a really good work, celebrating, just a different, ethnicity celebrations and things like that. And so I think that's very important, to make them feel proud, to make them feel that, the company cares about them. And I think that something that companies can do is to have, I don't know if most companies have this, but I want to say something like, that just works directly with the Latin American construction workers. I know most companies have a diversity and inclusion department, right? But it's overall for the entire company. And I'm like, just add something for the Latin American workforce. Oh yeah, Oscar, but they don't work for us directly. but they're still on the job site, right? Just learn more about them, share with them, understand their
It's
concern.
a part of inclusion. It's a part of inclusion, right?
Make
To me,
it part of
it fits into inclusion. What we're really talking about is we got plenty of diversity in the building industry,
Yes.
right? From a Latin American standpoint, right? We've got lots, but what we need is more inclusion, of that group, and for sure.
Exactly.
Good stuff. Any others, Stacy, before we jump?
Let's see. No, I think we should end it on that note because we're already a little bit over.
Yeah, it's all good. Hey, this is been a lot of I think important and powerful ideas. I know that we're going to create a lot of conversation after this as a result. So again, thank you so much, Oscar, for being here, and again, continue to do what you're doing and spreading the word, and we'll certainly be advocates for what you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pressure to be here. And I'm here to help in any way I can. I like to point out that we not only have seen Latin Americans, learn, English for construction, but also American construction workers learn Spanish for the construction industry. So I wanted to point that out because I feel very motivated whenever I see, and which is the majority of them have expressed to me, Oscar, I want to learn Spanish because I want to establish a relationship with our Hispanic construction workers. I wanted to throw that up there because I think it's important to also, say that and highlight all of those, American construction workers are trying their best to.
No question. I think the desire and the will is there for sure. So one quick thing, how can people learn more about what you're doing? And is there a website? Is there an app? Is there something that you can steer people toward?
Absolutely. There's they can go directly to our website. It's at say.com. So it's need, NEED as in David, 2, S as in Sam, A as in Apple, Y as in yellow.com. So need2say.com. They can go directly there. They can, send us a message, send us an email, and we can touch base with them. And again, I mean, we have been helping a lot of construction companies do something for their construction workers. And again, at the end of the day, it's all about, being safe, being productive, doing the work. And so we're in for that. And so we're trying our best.
Awesome. Thanks so much. That's great. So Stacy and I will take a couple of minutes to wrap up. Thanks again, Oscar. And we'll have you on again in the future to hear about the progress that you've made.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Chad.
Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. So Stacy, we've got next week, same time, 9 a.m. Eastern, Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I think for the next 12 to 14 weeks or something like that, that's going to be the case.
21st. Yeah.
Right. So next week we have Nick Espinosa on, who is with Security Fanatics, and he's going to be on talking about cybersecurity threats to the construction industry. Check him out on LinkedIn before the episode if anybody has an opportunity. He produces really interesting content, is talking about things that will keep you up at night. Take a minute to check that out in advance. And Stacy, thank you so much for putting together such an incredible slate of guests for this season. It's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry for the hiccups today in the chat section. We'll have to figure out that. I see all of your comments and questions and everybody viewing today. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll continue to try to improve the show.
It's all every day, one step at a time.
One step at a time.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye,
See you next week.
See ya.